Okay, when I never intended to go to any convent, that's for sure. I dated a lot. Fact is, I even had a proposal of marriage because in those days you got married right after high school. But the middle of my senior year, we had a retreat here. And that was every year on December 7th. And I was bored because we couldn't talk in those days. We had talks, and I still had a couple hours, so I went and I just grabbed up some pamphlets off a table, came and plopped down in church, and the first one I picked up said, "Shall I be a sister?" And something just hit me. I thought, surely not. But I picked it up and read it, and everything in it just sounded like me. Now, most vocations don't come that fast, but mine did. It just knocked me down, and by the end of that retreat day, I thought, that's where God's calling me. And it never went away. So I had a hard time waiting to tell my parents, and then my mother was against it, but I wouldn't give in. And so when it came time in the summertime after I graduated from high school, Mom and I were living in Columbus, Ohio with my dad. And I thought, well, how am I going to get there? Because I knew they wouldn't take me. And so I made all the arrangements. I called the bus station, and I knew we were going back to French Lick. And so I found out in French Lick when the bus was going to come through, and I made plans to go to my friend's house in Hopstadt because she was going to enter. And if I would get there, her parents would take me along with her. And in those days, we didn't have cell phones or anything like that. So I don't know how I did it. I was only 17, but I made all the plans and they worked out exactly that way. I ended up in Evansville, and they came to pick me up from Hopstadt, and I went to her house. And then when we entered, then they took both of us, and for the first couple of years, they were just wonderful to me. They treated me like their own daughter. In fact, as their own daughter finally left community. But anyhow, that's how I finally got there, and it took Mom. Mom wouldn't even tell me goodbye. She was sitting at the table, and I bent down and kissed her and said, "Bye, Mom, I'm going now." And she wouldn't answer. But my dad was a little more, and he said, "No, I'll take you down to the bus station in French Lick there." And he did. And then, but it took Mom several years, but after a while, she realized how happy I was. And then she really became proud of me. I'd hear her bragging to people that I have a daughter who's, a nun. So she certainly changed, but it was a hard road at first because those first few years, she just was very up. And in those days, of course, we wore black from top to bottom. We didn't get to go home that often. It was much more strict in that you didn't really get with your family, so that was hard. So she was very happy when things started changing. But that's how I got here.